Welcome. If you have a small business now, if you're a small business owner or you're looking to start a side hustle in 2021, you will not want to miss today's show. There's something about your passion, but we want to protect that passion project, don't we? So stay right there, grab your tiara and your coffee, and listen in.
Welcome to Coffee with the Queens. You are in the right place if you have coffee and a tiara. Okay, as long as you have questions, you are in the right place. Join forces where queens of kingdoms come together to share successful stories and wisdom that made our digital kingdoms abundant. Take it away, Queen Tammy.
Welcome, Queens. Hello, everyone. So
Hello.
Hi. Today we wanted to talk about something that we usually think as an afterthought, but it's so important to talk about before you even start a business. So if you're thinking about starting a side hustle in 2021, or if you're thinking about, or if you do have a small business now, there's certain things that you might be missing, and we're all about protecting things here. So on the Digital Duchess, we talk about how to empower you to grow and protect your cash, your credit, your castle, and your kingdom. And your business is certainly part of that. So today we have a lot in store for you. So I'd love to throw it over to you, Sandra, because I know you've talked about this. You know, unfortunately, it's an afterthought, right? It's something that when something happens to us, we suddenly become fiercely protective of it, but we don't know it before, right? So what is it in your life that has happened that you just are just fierce about these days?
You know, I think it's just human nature to be that way. And for me, I notice, because, you probably talked a bit, I have a puppy in the house. You've probably seen and heard the puppy during the show. And the previous dog, actually, we had an accident, a very traumatic accident here. And accidents happen, but I think knowing that I had this feeling like I couldn't protect my previous dog when the accident happened, I am now uber protective of my dog, any dog. Like I was driving down the highway and somebody had a dog in the back of their pickup truck on the freeway that was falling as he was changing lanes. And I was just, my adrenaline shot up. I just, went through this whole thing. And it's very emotional when you have that sense of overprotectiveness based on an experience that has happened. And that is, like you said, it's usually whether it's your kids or your business or your dog, right? There's something that happens that then draws your attention to the fact that that there's something you can protect or can protect better. And I think we do wait until a situation happens for that to kind of rise up in us.
Yeah, I agree. And, it's also in the digital realm too, online. I remember having a website made for me, and we had a disagreement, and all of a sudden I go back to my website and it was gone. Just a few things, little straggly things of my own things that I have in there. It was literally gone. I freaked out. And it's like, what do you do in situations like that, right? What about you, Kathy?
Well, mine started out with probate. So when my father-in-law died, we actually lost 33% of our inheritance to probate fees. And I thought, this is crazy. I've been to see a lawyer. But obviously, I was one of those legal consumers that totally didn't understand what the lawyers were talking to us about. But we thought we were ready because his dad was a financial guy. He worked for Columbia University, managed their finances for 33 years. My husband's a CFO. I've started businesses and we ended up in probate. And so that became my passion. And I literally changed my career. I became a certified estate planner. And my goal was to provide education to consumers. So when that lawyer talked to you, you knew what they were saying. And then hopefully that you would take the right actions. And I'm actually kind of glad I did that, because as I've learned and now I've learn more about this, it turns out that your digital assets also, there are certain properties that could be subject to probate, including things like your web domains or your emails or your social media accounts. So as we go into other future sessions, we're going to talk about that. So I'm so glad that we have our speaker today who's going to talk about this huge trend towards what they call the actual alternative legal services, where all of a sudden it seems like to be the in trend to take your intellect. And I loved her comment, you turn your intellect into income, whereby you take your information and you package it somehow as either do-it-yourself projects or self-education in this world of the legal, they call it the legal consumer, which turns out to be billion-dollar businesses. Some way to look at growing your kingdom, protecting your kingdom, and growing your cash.
I think Margie has something to add. Let's bring Margie on. Margie, are you on? Margie's our Gilman.
For those of you who don't know what that means, she's our power behind the scenes, our producer.
That's right.
Extraordinaire.
Hi,
Welcome,
everybody.
Margie.
Can you hear me? Hi.
Yes.
It's so great to be here with you today, and I love this subject and the things that you learn and the lessons that you learn. And one of them is when you sit down to the table with a partner and they want to be a 51% partner and have you be a 40% partner, that's a big red flag. That happened to me. All the papers were drawn up. It took us months and months to get to the table with the lawyers, and we sat down, and to my surprise, she wanted to be a 51% partner and have me be 41. And I walked away from that table. It's the best decision I ever made. But if you're running into a partnership and have one person that has that extra percentage, they're always going to have that deciding vote. So if you go into a partnership, as you're discussing months and months of how you're going to do it together, remember that it's got to be that 50-50 share. Thanks.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks,
no,
Margie.
yeah,
Margie's
I know
in the
that.
background. So remember to comment and engage, everyone. That's how you win free prizes on this live show. And Margie's instrumental. So thanks so much, Margie, for popping on.
You're welcome. And I put that in the comments too, so everybody can read it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks.
Back to you.
Well, very good, guys. Well, our next guest for the show is truly amazing. So I met this guest recently at another event. I said, oh my God, we had to have her on here. So Chevelle McPherson, also known as the Legal Boss, began her career as an assistant district attorney for the city of Philadelphia. After serving as an ADA, Chevelle went on to form McPherson Law, specializing in civil litigation, criminal defense, and business law. Now, Chevelle has been recognized as a top 100 national trial lawyer, a rising star super lawyer, and a lawyer of distinction. Chevelle is the founder of Soar to Success Academy, where she serves as a business and legal strategist and helps entrepreneurs and small business owners be legally positioned for ultimate profit and protection. An award-winning international speaker and the #1 best-selling author of Soar, Beyond the Heels of Adversity. Now, Chevelle is the host of Soarpreneurs podcast, a podcast for entrepreneurs ready to start, scale, and soar in business. Welcome, Chevelle. So glad that you're here.
Yay. Welcome.
Happy to be here.
Welcome, Mom. She's got the tiara going.
Yeah, tiara. I recently had my 50th, so I use my same tiara because I'm still celebrating it like till the end of the year.
You go,
Absolutely.
girl.
We need everything we can celebrate this year.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's been a roller coaster of a year, so we have to celebrate all things good.
Yes.
Nice.
So you know what I love about you? You were talking about contracts. Now, I wish I had contracts in place, and I still wish I had contracts in place with a lot of things going on in online and just everyday things that's going on in our business. So take it away, Chevelle. Oh my goodness, just so much to talk about here.
Well, there's so much to talk about, but since you started off with contracts, I usually say, contracts are like the rules of engagement. They are the entryway to having access to you, right? So if you're a business owner, when people want to do business with you and engage your services, you want to make sure that you have some entry point. You want to make sure that you have something in place so that there's a mutual understanding of how that relationship is going to go, what's going to happen throughout the course of the relationship, what's going to happen if the relationship ends, what's required in the relationship, what's not going to happen in the relationship, what the parties' responsibilities are. There's so many things. And I tell people all the time, it's just like when you get ready to get married, like you're in love and you're all excited and you can't wait and you're planning the wedding. Nobody plans for the divorce. They're planning for the wedding. Okay. But with clients, it's like, we don't want there to be a divorce, but you want to plan in the event that something happens that's going to cause that relationship to break up. Because the best time to get rules of engagement in place are at the onset when everybody's happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to wait till the honeymoon's over and everybody has a different perspective to say, this is the way I believe this should happen. Or the other person says, no, I thought we were going to handle that this way. And then there's just a complete breakdown of intentions and communication that causes problems, and that leads to litigation. Litigation leads to money, and it's a loss for your business. So it's a win-win for everybody to have contracts. And this is the other thing that I want to say about contracts. I've had people come to me to have a contract drawn, and they're like, I want this, I want this, I want that. And I'm like, that's not going to be a good contract, right? Because a contract is really not to be a bully. A contract is really to be fair to both parties. And that's what some people also don't understand. You can hire me to draft your agreement, but I'm still going to make that agreement fair to both sides, because at the end of the day, if it's not fair and it's lopsided, it's still going to cause you litigation. So you should really come to the table when you're getting your agreements drafted with this idea that I want this to be a long-lasting relationship. I'm going to come in here and deliver this wow factor of a service, and then my client is going to go off and refer me, because we know it's cheaper to retain clients and get future clients through referral than it is to continue to look for new clients all the time. Create raving fans and your business just naturally grows. And the way that you can start that process is by making sure that all the intentions are memorialized at the onset to eliminate the problems down the road.
Wow. Yeah. I wish I had, like I said, my contracts in place when I lost my website. Right.
Yeah. And so how did you lose your website? Do you mind sharing a little bit?
Well, it was just a disagreement in price. And so I had a couple things in there that when I went back that night, it was all gone, but my things were still up there. It was literally just white. It's like, oh my God. And, without discussing it, he just took it all off.
Was this a disagreement with the web designer?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
Good.
Let's talk about that. There are so many people that I because I'm in the legal field, it's amazing to me, because it's like natural as common sense. But my grandmother told me a long time ago that common sense is not common to everybody, right? So let's just start with that. And because common sense isn't common to everybody, that's why we have to have agreements. And I tell people all the time, with your web designers, you want to have agreements. With your virtual assistants, you want to have agreements. With everybody, you know how many people come to me because they have a disagreement? And the first thing I say is, can I see your agreement? Because that's where I'm going to start. So if you don't have an agreement in place, it's really hard. So the thing with websites is, I always tell people, it's really, really important to have agreements with your website designers for several reasons. Number one, you want to memorialize the terms. Like you said, you don't want a disagreement to come and this person that is now taking down your website. You want to make sure that the terms are stipulated so that that doesn't happen. Because I always tell people, the legal part of your business is the sexy part. You don't want to believe that, because, I know you want to do your funnels, and you want to do your web, your website and your business cards, and you want to scale and grow, and you want to do Facebook ads and all these things. Those are great tactics. Those are great things to get your business going, but they're not going to save your website from getting snatched down. They're not going to save you if someone comes to, they're infringing upon your intellectual property or you're being sued. So the whole point is to put things in place ahead of time. When it comes to websites in particular, you want to make sure, number one, there's an agreement so your site doesn't get snatched and you disagree, and now you have no visibility, and we need to be visible, especially in this digital era. Okay. Right. The other thing is, even if your site didn't get snatched, if you don't have an agreement, at the end of the day, your web designer owns all the content. According to copyright law, whoever creates the content is the owner. So just by operation of natural common law, You know, whoever creates that content owns the content. So you want to also make sure you have an agreement in place that says this is a work for hire. You're creating this. I'm hiring you to create this for me. And at the end of this contractual agreement, this content is going to be owned by me. And if there's anything that we need to do legally, you will cooperate and make sure that you are going to sign off on any documents or do whatever is necessary. So you want to make sure you have that in there so that if something happens, it's clear that this is your content. He does not have the right to remove it because you own it.
Right.
Also,
Can I hop in for a second there? Because I had a client that this actually happened to. She hired a branding company and walked in and said, I need to build this brand. And so the branding company said, well, here's what we do. And it was the website. It was the product facing. It was all of the things that were going to be her outward facing brand. And that was what they did. Now it was custom, I guess, in their contract. And she didn't know this, that they own all of that. Is that ever negotiable? Like if she walked in now knowing more, she lost a lot of money and her website and everything and had to start over again when they had a disagreement. So at $100,000 probably loss, she had to start over. If she goes back into another branding company now knowing better, and that is in the contract, is it possible most times to have that changed? Would they be willing to do that? Or is that when you walk?
Okay. First of all, I want us all we're all wearing our tiaras and we're all sitting here as boss business owners. Okay. So I want us to first acknowledge that we are bosses. All right. Yes. This is why I call myself the legal boss, because I am the boss of me. I may not be the boss of anyone else, but I'm the boss of me. I'm the boss of my business. And so what that means is I enter all relationships knowing that that's where I stand. Again, I'm not a bully, I'm a boss. But what that means is I have to protect myself. So therefore, if I'm ever presented with an agreement that I know is not in my best interest as the boss of me and the boss of my business, I'm going to attempt to negotiate it because all things are negotiable. If the company that I am attempting to negotiate that with is not willing, I'm not doing business with them, because here's the thing, at the end of the day, I'm not at their mercy. There are thousands of web designers on this planet all around the world. Why do I need to stick with someone who's telling me that they're going to create something for me that I'm never going to own? See, I'm in the asset protection and growing business, right? I'm not in business just for fun. I mean, my philanthropy is fun. My charity is fun. My social life is fun. My business is profitable. Okay.
So let me ask you a question. One other thing. So a lot of us outsource, and we have VAs that set outside the United States of America. How are these contracts enforceable if we are using VAs that are not U.S. citizens? How does that impact your whatever you're negotiating, or how you negotiate, or how you protect yourself?
So here's the thing. Contracts, when you have legal agreements, you have to understand that there can always, nothing in life is guaranteed that it's going to work a certain way. But what it does, it gives you confidence, it gives you leverage, and it gives you the ability to at least initiate litigation if necessary, which you can't necessarily do if you don't have anything saying, we're going to go down this road. But here's the thing. When it comes to virtual assistants, you want to definitely have agreements, because let me just tell you an experience that I had, and I had to learn sort of the hard way with a VA. And it ended up not being a problem, but it was a light bulb moment for me. I hired a VA when I first got it started on the coaching side of my business to create a lead magnet. I mean, that's pretty simple, right? Create me a lead magnet. Great. I'm a speaker. So I am getting ready to travel and go somewhere. I need to change something on the lead magnet. Well, I don't have access. I don't have the source file. I don't have, I didn't require all these things, because even me, I'm like, okay, just create me a lead magnet. Now, however, I have a great relationship with this person. It wasn't somebody I had to go far. So I had to send her a message, but I said, you know what? Now in my legal agreements, I added that. Like, make sure, I get the source files. I always knew I was going to transfer ownership, but these are things that you don't think about. So you want to definitely have an agreement with your virtual assistants. Number one, saying they're creating this for you. You own it. Send you the source files, because the last thing you want is to be getting ready to go on stage or speak or do something, and you want to change the file, and you can't even change it because you may not own it and you may not even have the source file, right? So those are things to consider. So if these VAs are out of the country, obviously it's going to be a little bit, difficult to get them to come here and drag them over here. But at the end of the day, you still have to have some leverage and something in writing so that you have a clear understanding of what's going to happen. But it's better to be able to do business with, people who it's easier to drag into court, but that's not always monetarily feasible, or, there's reasons why we do things. You just have to, all entrepreneurs are not created equal. So what you need to do is evaluate the situation. If you're going to use a VA that's over in Thailand somewhere, and they're creating you a lead magnet or something like that, and it's not a big deal, if fine, go that route. But if you're working on some very important project, right, that this is really important to you, you want to take these things in consideration. Even if I do have my agreement, if something goes wrong, how accessible is it going to be for me to bring this person into court? Because my agreements all say jurisdiction is where I am, because I always say the boss doesn't travel to right. Lawsuit, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So therefore, but again, if someone's over in Thailand, can I really drag them here? I may not want to if it's a lead magnet or if it's something like that. But if it's something big, so if you're talking about, for instance, let's talk about trademark. That's big. Mm-hmm. You spend a lot of money for that, right? I wouldn't get someone from over, in another country to do something that I'm spending thousands and thousands of dollars on, because if I can't drag them into court over here, that's a problem, and I'm out of a lot of money. So I always say, use your discernment in your business and look at the task that you're getting performed and make an educated decision on if it's wise to use this particular person. If you're going to use that person, always use an agreement. But remember, if this person is so far reached, the possibility of you dragging them over here and them coming still may be difficult. That's just the reality.
And so if you were starting a new business, do you have like a recommended list of certain agreements, contracts you should have in place before you start? Is there something?
Absolutely. So this is what I always say. When you're starting a business, I'm going to give you my little rundown of things that I think that you need to do, like the essential, I call them like the essential pillars of what should be in place, right? Because if you wanted to buy a house, you would not just go, if you're not going to just go get the lot and just go like camp out. You're going to make sure there's a nice foundation there first before you start building. So you want to do that.
Most people would do that, yes.
Right? So you want to make sure in your business there's this nice foundation that you're going to build your business upon so that it can start to grow and scale naturally, being profitable and protected. So what does that look like? I usually say the first thing is you want to make sure that you are safeguarding your assets. Okay. Okay. You want to make sure you're putting your business in some type of an entity, whether it's an LLC, an S Corp, a corporation. An S Corp is not necessarily a separate entity. It's a tax election of a C Corp. So we could just be clear about that. But those are what I call protective legal structures. So they will separate you from your business, which basically means that you don't want to lose your personal assets if something happens and you're sued. So that's the first thing that I always recommend. The other thing is when you are picking the name for your business, please do a search. Don't just pick a name that you like and just start using it. Before you even get the LLC or the S Corp, just initially, you can do a Google search to see if the name's out there, because if somebody's using it, I'm sure they're visible, right? So you can do a Google search. You can go on uspto.gov, which is the patent and trademark site. Put the name in the test system. See if it's a trademark name, right? You want to do your due diligence before you start spending a lot of money in branding and marketing. Because what if, like, I had to call someone the other day and say, I'm sorry, the name you asked me to trademark that you've been using for a year, someone just got it trademarked, so you can't use it. Like, that's a painful conversation to have. And so you don't want to have that conversation. So do your due diligence, make sure the names that you're using are available. And then you want to put your business inside of an entity, a protective legal structure, so that if something happens and you're sued, you don't lose everything. You get to keep all your personal assets. It's easier to start over when you have money than it is to get completely wiped out and everything's taken. So that's the first thing. Then after you have the name clearance and you're good to go and you're not infringing upon anybody's name, you can go ahead and get your business into the entity. Then before you take your client, you want to make sure you have a client agreement in place. If you're a coach, that would be a coaching agreement. If you provide some type of service, it would be a service agreement. Whether it's if you're a web designer, you need to have a web design agreement, a branding agreement. Whatever your core business is, you should have an agreement in place that your clients can sign so that you can memorialize all the terms in the beginning while everybody is happy, while everybody likes each other. Again, like I said, how are you going to get paid? How much? What's required? Everything you can possibly think of. And think of the things that you think could go wrong. Think of the things that you think you would never can imagine to go wrong. Have a provision that covers that, because those are the things that usually go wrong. Okay. Right. So you want to make sure you have legal agreements. And so basically when you get started, those are the main things that you want to do. And when you have your separate entity, you're going to get your tax identification number. So therefore you can get your separate bank account. You don't want to commingle between your personal assets and your business, because it's like you're evaporating that wall of separation, right? So always operate your business. A lot of entrepreneurs, they might, pull out the debit card for the business to go get the hair done or the nails. Don't do that. Use your personal card, your personal business accounts for personal matters. Use your business for business matters. That gives a clear separation, because if you don't respect the wall of separation, no court is going to respect the wall of separation. Okay, so that's the first thing. So once you're doing that, now as you start to operate and you start to use these names, always say, if you're creating content or programs that are worth creating and promoting, they're also worth protecting. So that's when you want to start considering trademark and copyright. Now, if you're just hanging, starting your business today, you might not be there yet, but you at least want to get the names cleared. But as soon as you feel, an affinity to these names, like, when you first start, sometimes you have a name, you're like, you know what, I'm going to change it. So you might not want to go right into trademark right away. All right. But when you feel comfortable, like this name is resonating, I'm using this name, I need to protect it. You want to protect it, because until you register it, you don't legally own it. If you get sued, you have to go into state court, prove you owned it, prove you were using it first. You can skip all of those steps if you register it with the trademark office, and you can just get your certificate of registration. And that's how you can just send things over to people saying cease and desist because I own this, right? And you're entitled to statutory damages. So trademark and copyright registration are very important when it comes to trademark is protecting your brand, like your logos, your taglines, marks that distinguish you from your competition so you can stand out. If you're Nike, you don't want people to think you're Converse, right? So you want to make sure you're distinguishable, because that's your reputation. Your reputation leads to your money, because people come to you for what you're known for. So you want to make sure that you're doing those things. And if you do those things, then you are really creating a good foundation for your business. And I always say, and what's protecting the business? Insurance. What about the things that you don't anticipate or expect is going to happen, right? This is for the unanticipated, the unexpected. Then you want insurance to come into play for that. So when you can look at your business as having this foundation of having an entity that separates you from it, with your IRS EIN number, its own taxpayer's number, its own social security number. You're not commingling. You're separating your business from yourself, right? It's like your business. I usually say it's like you have a kid and they turn 18 and now they're grown and they're on their own, and you love them, but they're separate. You're not responsible for them. You kind of want that with your business. You want to love it and you want to care for it, but you kind of want it to operate on its own. That's why you want to have it in a protective legal structure. And then the contracts, again, govern how everything goes. And then the intellectual property can be copyright and trademark protected when the time is necessary. And those are the basic 3 pillars that you want to always consider in your business.
Now, you're not too fond of sole proprietorship, right?
No, let me tell you, I'm not too fond of sole proprietorship at all. And some people say, and I'm going to tell you why. A sole proprietorship is a form of business, but it's not a protective legal structure, which is why I always say put your business in a protected legal structure, because a sole proprietorship is like having a lemonade stand. You're just out there, you're selling your services, anything could happen. The wind can come and blow you away. There's no protection. You can lose your house. It's not a solid foundation, right? As a matter of fact, I think it's a deterrent to high caliber clients, because at the end of the day, if I'm ready, if I'm going to give someone $15,000, $25,000 to work with them. I want that person to be attractable in the sense of, I know they're stable. When you're in a PLS, you're stable because you took the time to register your business. That shows me that you're serious about your business. So you're going to be serious about working with me. It also tells me that you have a registered agent, which is what you have to have. That's someone that's name, address, and phone number is registered with the Secretary of State. So if something happens and you disappear, I can go to that person because there's a name on file. So there's so many things, so many benefits that you get when you actually have your business inside of an entity. You don't get those things with a sole proprietorship. And the liability component of the sole proprietorship, it could wipe you out. And I know people say this, and I want the audience to also understand this. I've had people say, well, Chevelle, you know what? I'm just going to be a sole proprietorship when I first start. And once I start making money, then I'll go into a protective legal structure like you're suggesting. And I say to you, that is the worst thing you can do. You know why? Because just imagine this. Just imagine that you are Oprah Winfrey and you're in a sole proprietorship. You know what? If someone comes and they try to sue you or take something, I mean, you're Oprah Winfrey, you have a lot of money. You could probably bounce back because you are very, very stable and secure. If you are Joe Blow and you took every dime you have to start this business and you don't have a lot and you're a sole proprietorship, the first lawsuit can wipe you out. Okay? It can. So someone who's established like Oprah is, because people say, I want to get established. So someone who's more established has more of a cushion to possibly survive a lawsuit. Someone just starting out doesn't really have a cushion. Most of us, when we first start out, we are passionate about our business. We'll take everything. I've known people who turn in their retirement funds to risk their business. So if you're doing that, you do not want to put it all on the line in what I call a lemonade stand.
It's so good. Now, when people get started, I don't want to miss this. That popped up in my head a while back. We were talking about the fact that, being this crazy year, people have started to maybe put more of their assets into digital form. So there's more of their intellectual property that they're putting out there. It could be courses. It could be, I know you're going to share with us something that you've done as well. So when we start to put our own stuff out there in the digital world, what should we be doing to protect our intellectual property? Because there's a piece that we sometimes think, if I put this training out there, let's just say on XYZ, that I'm going to have a competitor that's going to take that same thing and copy it and sell it as well. What can we do to protect ourselves?
You need to register your intellectual property. That is copyright and trademark protection all day long. So what you need to do is your content, the content that you create. Content is your original literary works. It's the content of your programs, right? You can take that and you can register it with the Copyright Office. I think it's like $35. I usually tell people to go do it yourself. It's not even something that you necessarily need. I have an online program myself, which shows you exactly how to do that. And it's very simple, right?
So it's a trademark for, say, the name of your business, the name of your program, and then a copyright for the actual content.
You want to copyright your content. You want to trademark the name or the tagline, or the name and the tagline of your program, because copyright has to do with the literary works. You can copyright photographs. You can think of it as things that you create, right? Mm-hmm. Think of trademark as things that represent your brand, like your tagline, the name of the program. If you have any logos or any branding that's going to stand you out from your competition, those are things that you're going to trademark. Copyright is with the Copyright Office and trademark is with the Trademark Office. So they're both under the federal government. It's just different, different departments, so to speak. But at the end of the day, you get federal protection for both. So if you're going to create an online program, what should you do? You should make sure that, number one, you can copyright your content. Number two, trademark the names of your the digital program and any logos or any taglines that you have. Number three, it goes back to agreements. You want to have an online program agreement. So when you do put your program out there and you're selling it, that the purchaser understands what they can and cannot do with your program. You can't.
Oh, wait, hold on. Where does that go?
Yeah.
So if somebody purchases a product, like say you've got a program on here's how to yeah, I don't know, here's how to build a dresser. I have no idea. We'll just put that out there, right? And you have this instruction on how to do that, and it's written out. How do you, and somebody opts in and purchases this?
Okay.
Where is that? Is it when they purchase it? Is it on that? Is it on a thank you page? Is it a separate sheet?
You have to agree to the terms, right?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked.
Good service.
That goes on. So I'm gonna your online program is probably housed either on a sales page or it's housed on your website somewhere where they're gonna go and purchase it. Correct? Everybody,
Right.
it's online, so it's digital. So
Yeah.
what you want to have is online programs, terms of use, and you want to upload them on that site or have your designer upload them before they're able. Like with my digital program, before you can buy it, you have to check a box which says, I agree to the terms and conditions, the use of this program. If you don't check the box, you can't even buy it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it basically says, mine says,
Right.
I've read it and I agree. Because I don't want them to come back and say, oh, I just checked the box. Well, the box says you read it.
Right.
And there's I've seen some people where if they have the box there and they have to, you can't just hit it. Like the computer has to feel like it scrolled a little bit. If it doesn't scroll a little bit, then you can't buy it. So you can get your web designer to set this up where they have to like scroll a little bit so it shows that they did move.
They looked at it.
They looked at it, right? And then they have to check the box. Once they check the box, because let's just say that your opt-in form says purchase now. And let's just say it's a green button you have there. Like we'll use green because green is for money. So you have a green button and it says purchase now. Right above the purchase now is going to be that box. The green is probably going to it'll be faded back. And then you'll notice once they click the box, the green will pop out. Now they can click on it. They won't be able to click on the purchase until they've agreed that they've read your terms of use. And your terms of use stipulate everything. It tells them how how much it is. It tells them what they can and cannot do. They can't sell it. They can't share it. They can't disseminate it. All of the rules, all of the rules around it. That's how you get to control your content.
That's
so
awesome. I think a lot of people overlook that. I mean, I work with a lot of coaches and consultants, and I don't see that very often on a coach or consultant page.
Yeah, if you're selling an online program, you definitely want to make sure you have terms of use and conditions for that online program, and it should be a condition of them purchasing. If they do not check the box that they've read and agreed, then they just can't purchase the program.
And I think it's also one of those things where if you're a big company like a ClickFunnels, trust me, and they've got all that. You scroll one time. I tried to sign without scrolling, and they wouldn't let me. No. So it goes back to companies like yourself offering these types of services, as do-it-yourself that we can purchase. For those of us who don't have the money to hire the legal fees and all the big legal dollars it takes to create these types of
terms. Yeah, I have a contract site called myprofitprotected.com. And all of the agreements that I am talking about, you can get on there. They're like all legal agreements that over the years, I was initially having consultations and drafting these agreements and then having consultations and draft. So I took like my whole library of these agreements, online programs, virtual assistant, independent contractor. I took them all and I put them on the site, and it's called myprofitprotected.com. You can literally go there and you can get any agreement that you need. If there's not one there, you can always, send an email or click a button and we create them. And they're all attorney drafted by me and peer reviewed, but they also come with audio guides. So you're not left trying to figure it out. It's me literally on a recording saying, this is what this provision means. This is what this provision means. This is what you need to change. This is what you don't want to change. And I do that because I believe that people should not, entrepreneurs specifically, should not have barriers to business. And some of the barriers to business could be expensive when it comes to legal, like getting these things in place. So I've tried to, because I deal with a lot of entrepreneurs, make legal protection more accessible.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it probably a little more affordable as well, because as you said, you would have a consultation, then you would have another consultation. And so
it goes back to win-win.
Yes, it does seem like a win-win for us, for sure, right? And for you, because it saves you time. But it does cross my mind that maybe you have some people that are in your field, some associate lawyers that see what you're doing, and are they getting mad at you? Do you get any hate mail from them because you're making it easy and it's pretty attractive to the
well, actually, I don't, because the side of the law that I originally came from was mainly like criminal defense and prosecution. So most of my legal colleagues aren't even in this world, in this space, right? I entered this world in this space because I was speaking. I wrote a book, and I was, traveling, and I started to see the needs of the entrepreneur. So, I became an early adapter to, wow, there is this area out here where people are struggling, where people are getting sued, and it's all preventative, right? It's all preventative. But most entrepreneurs are scared of the law. They think it's the difficult part. They think it's the complicated part. They think it's the expensive part. Yeah. And I saw a way that I could make it not so scary, not so complicated, not so expensive. And by doing it for, one to many as opposed to one-on-one, it cuts my cost back, which allows me to make it more accessible. So it's a win-win. So I think, they probably wish they thought of the idea.
Yeah, right. We'll make sure that in our resources on coffeewiththequeens.com, we're going to have a link so you can go to that when you finish watching the show, not right now, and check out Chevelle's offer there of the contracts, which what popped into my mind too was, well, what if I have questions?
Oops. What if you have questions about any legal matters? You know what I love about you, Chevelle, is you are so down to earth, and you literally tell it like it is, and you tell it in a way that we could understand as well. Because there's a lot of attorneys saying, "Oh, wait, what? What did you just say? I don't understand anything. Can you tell it in like my language?" Right. So that's what I love about you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Also, I saw where, we called it this new world, of alternative legal services. Do you also, just out of curiosity, provide these courses to other lawyers? Could a lawyer purchase your product and offer it to their clients? Do you do that also? Or is it all direct B2C?
All of mine is really directly to the entrepreneur. It's not really through the attorney, because my products are sort of entrepreneurial driven. So I speak a lot, I meet a lot of entrepreneurs, and I basically created a lot of my products and services because of the entrepreneurs that I met and because of the needs that I saw. So it's really geared towards really helping the entrepreneur.
And I think what Sandra was trying to ask is, because we were, so I bought your product, I'm using it, and I have a question. I think the question was, is there a chat feature? Is there a way to get help from a real lawyer if there's something that I don't quite understand, or I want to make sure I'm filling this out right?
You can always book a complimentary call with me. That's always an option. When I speak and I do webinars, a lot of times, even recently, I offer I do maybe like twice a month. I actually do with the clients that have bought my programs. I do what I call office day Q&As, the first of the month and the beginning of the month. And we go live on Zoom, and it's like, bring all your questions, right? So one thing that I also understand is that I want to make the law easy and accessible. But I also know that if people buy digital products, whether it's mine or someone else's, most people, they go on the shelf, right? People buy things, and when they buy it, in their head, they solve their problem. It's like, okay, I bought the program, I'm great, right? Like, in their head, the problem is solved. But unless there's some accountability, a lot of times it still doesn't get done. They just have the product. So what I usually offer with my online program is that the opportunity to come on a call, and it's, you can submit questions ahead of time. Or if you come on the call with a question, or if you don't have a question, but you want to come hear other people's questions, because you'll be surprised. Like, there's so many things that come out of it from other people's questions that are just like nuggets and like light bulb moments for people. So usually when you buy it, because I usually promote my program through like a talk or through a webinar. And so if I'm promoting it that way, I usually always offer some type of support where you can come on a call and get your questions, even if it's like 2 calls, or, in the last case, the event I did, they actually got 4 live calls on Zoom with me.
You know what I really like about that? Because I read a statistic once. I think it said something like 82% of people who buy courses never finish them.
Absolutely.
They never get to the end. And I love the idea of these monthly calls where
Yes.
people figure out what the next step to get them to actually get finished and hopefully accomplish what they bought the course for, the product for. That's a great idea.
And I have a, so, you know, I believe that we all, when you're in business, like you have to really, it's not just about, it's about wowing your clients. It's about supporting them. It's about getting results, right? So what I also do when you purchase my program, from the very time that you get the thank you, you bought it, you are not left alone, at least for those 5 weeks. It's a 5-week program. So you'll get like the welcome email. Oh my God, congratulations, you're a boss, you're in. It's amazing. So I get them excited about it. And then the next week, I'm like, I'm checking in. Did you complete module 1? If so, tell me what your PLS is. Which one did you decide? Is it the S Corp? Is it the LLC? Oh my God, I can't wait till we chat. And then the next week is like, now you have your contracts in place if you're following along. But if you're a little bit behind and you haven't gotten here yet, I understand, but don't stop, keep going. So every week there's also an email coming out, and it has something to do with the module that they should have completed to encourage them along the way. So it's not just like they brought the program and thank you and goodbye. It's like, you brought the program. Now let me cheerlead you along and offer you some support along the way and invite you on these office days, these Q&As, so that we can really get you some results and some transformation, because that's really what it's all about.
Cool.
Well, I know we're going to be making an appointment with you. Oh my goodness.
We're building a lot of assets here, aren't we? So we want to grow and scale our business to be profitable and protected. I wrote that down because I like it. I'm like, I like that.
Yes.
What we're all about.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for being here, Chevelle. We could throw questions at you for like another 2 hours, but we want to honor you. We know that you actually moved an appointment just to be able to stay with us a little longer today. So we really appreciate that. And we'll make sure, again, everybody that is watching, and if you're watching the recording, same thing, just go to coffeewiththequeens.com, look under guests, and you'll see the resource list there where you can find Chevelle's program and protect yourself so you can grow your business safely and be productive at the same time. So thank you so much, Chevelle. This has been awesome. And, you know, you're welcome to stay with us if you'd like. We're going to kind of move into the next thing, which is we usually do. Well, first of all, do we want to give stuff away?
We always want to give stuff away.
Let's give some stuff away.
Thanks so much, Chevelle. So today, you know,
having me.
You said so many things, Chevelle, about empowerment, and, you know, you're the boss when you walk in, and that's how you approach everything in life. And that's really a big piece of what we've come to understand, that some people don't feel empowered. Mm-hmm. You know, that's really the first step. And so today we have actually Sahela created an empowerment guide. Is that right, Sahela?
It's an empowerment affirmations book, and I took the best of the coaches out there, and Sandra's in it as well. I'm in it, and their best affirmations and quotes in there. It's a great book. So I made it into an ebook. So that's what we're giving away today. Very exciting.
Wow.
Yes, and we have, you know, today I think my pick is Stephanie Lee. She's been with us. She's been following us. She's been great, and she's been following along. And we love Stephanie. We know Stephanie. She's a Pilates teacher, isn't she?
Yeah, she's a
an empowered entrepreneur.
Oh my goodness, she's amazing.
Stephanie, you are the winner of our empowerment guide today, and thanks so much for following along and engaging. And Chevelle, just unbelievably informative and life-changing, transformative information for any entrepreneur out there. Really very valuable. Thank you so much.
We need to have her back on. Like,
you are welcome.
Yeah,
it was an honor and pleasure being here. I'm so happy I met Sahela at that event.
Me too. Me too.
We also usually do a quote, so let's do our quote for today. It is from Susan B. Anthony, and I think everyone that is watching, I thought this was appropriate for today. We agreed. It is, I declare to you that women must not depend upon the protection of men, but must be taught to protect herself. And there I take my stand. Thank you, Susan B. Anthony. Kind of fits in with what we're talking about today and keeping ourselves protected, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Good one.
Yay. Awesome. So I guess that's kind of it. We're about ready to sign off, everybody. But I want to definitely let everybody know that next week, make sure that you join us because we're going to be talking about all things regarding publishing, self-publishing. So there's a lot to learn. Bring your questions and know that if you have a book in your mind, you can make it happen. So we look forward to seeing you next week. Subscribe, like, share these videos. It means everything to us to be able to grow our channel and our following. And we hope that we helped you. So that's it, you guys. As of now, we're out.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.